and welcome to another Watchlist, my weekly or so rundown of what I've been watching and what I've been up to. And this week I thought I'd theme it because I'd seen a lot of movies released by this company. So as you can probably see from the artwork, I'm going to do it on Third Window Films, and I've caught up with a lot of their recent releases thanks to a 99p rental thing that they did on Apple TV, etc., where you could kind of 99p rental. I kind of stacked them up. Let's go see what you've got, and subsequently end up buying a lot of. So where to start? God, could start anywhere, but let's start with Keizu. And Keizu is a film. I will preface by saying I loved all of these. I loved them all. Without fail, they will all be getting picked up physically, without a shadow of a doubt. But Keizu is the story of a young boy who lives with his mother, sort of, in that she just kind of flits in and out and doesn't really seem to care for him, in an old boathouse. And occasionally the dad comes round looking for money, always drunk, not really seems to be on the scene. And it's pretty much this young man has a terrible life. Just awful circumstances. I mean, one of the most miserable films, I think, as a setup that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just hard to watch this young boy how he keeps on getting kicked and kicked and kicked, to the point that you understand the character's kind of feeling of hopelessness as people just let him down. Aside from this little group of people that seem to live just on the outskirts, because this is after tsunami in 2012, 2014, something like that this film is set, and people have been lost a lot of what they have. The whole area around them is crumbled to the ground, and people are living in tents, etc. And you have this group of people that want Suguru to succeed in his boat making business, and they see him as the future, somebody to be able to rise up and be better, and they're the warmth of the movie. They are the contrast to these other circumstances, the people that are supposed to care about him and the people that actually do care about him. And also on the side is this young girl who is in his class, who is absolutely infatuated by him. Everything he says, he does, she just hangs on, and she kind of takes it on herself to kind of build this relationship, nearly by force at the start. She throws herself at him on a repeated basis, and it basically tells the story of both their growing relationship or unrelationship, and how the mother and father and everybody else around it kind of influences him, because on the side there's also the Yakuza that become involved as well. It sounds bleak, and it is bleak, but it is also an incredibly moving film. Again, like most of Sean Sono's films, it has real emotional payoff at the end. For everything that you put your characters through, you get it at the far end. I think the performances of the young actors and actresses are fantastic, and I think the central character of the support group that he has is also magnificent done, and Keizu is just wonderful, in a completely bleak and horrible way. Which brings me on to, well, Obayashi. Obayashi, who is probably most famous for the film Hausu. That weird madcap late 70s, early 80s, something around that time, horror where there's a haunted house and, well, madness happens. There's many more movies that describe, or many more films or videos that describe Hausu better than I will. But this is his second last film, I think, before he died, Hanagatami, and it tells a story, rather oddly, I have to say. It's a young boy who moves to a new area, but the character is obviously about half the age of the actor that's playing him. And same for all of the characters that are around there. They're kind of at this kind of early teen stage, it seems like. So they're investigating their relationships with each other, but they're played by much older actors. And it's odd because a bit like Hausu, there's this weird green screening that comes on, so you see the characters talking And there's the background, and there's this like kind of weird shimmer disconnect, and it happens constantly throughout the movie. It's very much a visual style of Obayashi's, obviously, but does take some kind of getting used to. But it basically tells the story of this young boy as he is kind of impressed by all around him. So there's the cool guy at school, there's the other cool guy at school. He kind of likes a lot of bits about them, and he kind of starts watching them to see what they do and taking on their characteristics, even though they all seem to have a bit of a dark side. And on the other side, there are these three girls. So one who he lives with, who seems to be very sick, and it's unsure why she's sick. It's kind of explored a bit through it, but she's being protected, so she often finds herself in a situation where she's too tired to go out to be involved in the story. And what you get is this kind of beautiful, what is an almost period piece of a film that weaves and weaves and weaves through, again, to no real great kind of overarching plot point, but to a resolution, as you would imagine, of this kind of tale of this young boy growing up, or young boy acted by an older man. You get the idea anyway. But yeah, really, really great movie, and one that's on its way to me right now because I want to watch it again. And that brings me to the last two. So I'm going to go for, and this has just arrived, so I haven't even taken the wrapper off it. Let's do that. Let's do Fish Story. Fish Story is, I mean, if you were ever to look at the cover, you might wonder what the hell this is about. It says "Can Punk Save the World?" and then it says 4 decades, 4 events in one song. And it tells the story of a punk band from the 1970s, with Goro here up the top right, and how their songs, or their song, ends up saving the world. It's contrived. It's a bit silly. And it is set over these multiple time periods. Nothing seems to link together initially until about the last half hour of the movie. And then bang, it all comes together. And it is utterly brilliant. I mean, capital B, brilliant. It's a film from 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009 is the year that I think it was originally released, and then subsequently released in 2012. But I can't say enough good things about Fish Story, because the threat from the that at the end of the world is set up very, very early in the film, and that is the fact that there's a meteor coming to hit the Earth. And it's going to happen in about an hour or two. So everybody's just kind of wandering around going, what are you going to do the last hour of your life? Some people are going, well, something's going to happen to save us. Something is, we're going to be saved. This is going to be all okay. And a lot of other people are just resigned to the fact that, well, that's us dead. There's not. They tried. So that there are lots of film references to famous Hollywood movies. So things like Armageddon. Sure, didn't the five American guys save it? And it turns out, no, they didn't save it. They weren't able to set the thing up. They laid the charges, but when they went to blow it up, it didn't work. That kind of stuff. There's also a montage to Karate Kid in there as well. So there's lots of these little things going on the side. But what you get is the central part, which is this punk band and how they basically set up to make records and then ultimately save the world. And the idea that a fish story is this kind of far-fetched tale, which doesn't seem likely to happen, but that's kind of what this is. And it's brilliant. And I mean, it's honestly utterly brilliant. And I think you might see this in my year-end list because I thought it was so good. And the last one we've got is Shuichi Okita's The Woodsman and the Rain. And The Woodsman and the Rain is another one of these really strange setups of film. Because it starts off and you basically have the central character who is a woodsman, cuts down trees. That's pretty much it. But what he seems to know is an awful lot of the local area. And as he goes through and does a lot of these local area kind of activities, so he goes and meets people in the street and he comes back home, it becomes quite clear that he has suffered some personal tragedy. So he's lost his wife. His relationship with his son has become estranged since, as he becomes nearly in the isolation. He has a son, but he's retreated from life. He does his job, he goes home. Even amongst his peers, the people that he works with, he kind of sits a little from the side. They try and involve him. He's well liked, but he kind of doesn't really want to be involved. And then, weirdly, there's a film crew that appears on the scene that would look on some advice. We need a river. Where could we get a river to shoot this shot? And he takes them there, and he becomes involved in the filmmaking process. And the film is a zombie film. And all of a sudden, you've got this weird dichotomy between this very peaceful, tranquil, isolated life and people that are trying to make a zombie film. And one of the people who are trying to make the zombie film is this young man who's the writer-director. He seems very unsure of himself. It seems a bit out of his depth, and doesn't really know what to do. He's a bit lost, and an unlikely friendship kind of develops between these two characters, which is odd because you've got somebody that doesn't really want to be involved and a person that doesn't really want to be involved in the film, even though he wrote it. And somehow coming together, they have a meeting of minds, and they both help each other in very small and subtle ways. And what you get is this really charming film that was really uplifting. Again, I just couldn't help but feel warmth when watching it. It is never taken too seriously. It is very much played for fun the whole way through. And again, no real overarching theme or plot, but just seeing how people's relationships develop over time. And I heartily recommend that you check it out in some way, shape or form. The Blu-ray can be a bit hard to get, so if you can get it on a rental or on a streaming service, if it comes up, certainly try and do that. And that is my rundown of Third Window films. Past releases. The only one I'm really missing recently is The Taste of Tea. It's on the list to be watched and seen. But other than that, I'm really enjoying the output that they put together. Their discs tend to have like cast and crew interviews, makings of, that kind of stuff, director interviews, and some deleted scenes, and usually a trailer. But that's pretty much it. But that's as much as you really need from some movies, etc. So thanks very much for watching. Have you seen any of the movies? Are there even anything that would interest you? I don't know. We'll see. I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care. All the best. Bye.